2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
What's up, champs? Welcome to Short Shifts, your twice-weekly show hosted by Keeping Karlsson in between the mega shows, where we cover all of the quick-hitting news to make sure that you're up to date on your fantasy matchups. I'm Shams Benamor, and we have a first-time Short Shifts host with you today, Nick.
Hey, Shams. Glad to be back. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm doing great. I got quad bucks off for ESPN, ready to talk some hockey with you. And then I got a late game tonight, so a very hockey-filled day for me.
Oh, yeah, it's nice to have hockey in the mind. We're going to just take it all in before, well, what's it, about a week and a half we have until the short break. It feels like you have so many games going on, and then there'll be 2 days in a row there's no hockey, and then it feels like the end of the world. So we'll just take all this in before we have to start thinking about the holidays. And with that, we got our first headline. It's Jack Eichel out with a illness, and then Theodore day-to-day as well with a upper body injury. And the interesting thing is with this is that when they're talking about Jack Eichel's illness, we never know with the NHL teams. They never tell us anything. But basically the hint is that while it's just an illness, they kind of hinted it might be a little bit longer. So these are just going to be a situation that might be a few days before something happens. So while they played yesterday, they had a top line of Hertl, Barbashev, and Dorofeyev, and then they had Howden centering Marner and Stone. So they basically left that top 9 to a top 6. And then the interesting thing is that everyone's probably thinking, oh, you lost Eichel, you lost Theodore, time to add Hanifin. He's going to get power play 1. Nope. We got good friend of the show, Brandon Bowman, is that 5th forward. They're sticking with the 5 forwards of your normal Stone, Hertl, Marner, Dorofeyev, and Bowman takes that 5th slot. Hanifin Dill had a decent game with a good amount of shots and a few blocks, but in the end, he still doesn't have the power play. So with Theodore out and with Eichel out, maybe not too long-term, how do you take this, Nick? How do you feel?
Well, as a Braeden Bowman roster owner, it's kind of tough to watch him struggle here in Vegas. I mean, it's clear that he's the 5th forward on this 5-forward power play. We looked at the game logs, and in the overtime against New Jersey, they had a power play, and Bowman was the guy who was held off the ice for that one. So he was a fun story when he came in, and his power play presence was definitely felt earlier in the season, but his time on ice is ticking down. He's on line 3. I'm not sure how much longer he has as a roster role player. I'm still holding him right now, but he's on my cut list for sure.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that I like to say is that you're finding reasons for him to stay in your roster versus finding reasons to cut him. So if he's still giving you points or you're in a really deep league, maybe. But yeah, I would be fine even with this updated news because, like, as we said, we got clear top 6 situations. So even with that power play 1 situation, he's not going to be getting that 5-on-5 time. He's playing with like Riley Smith. That's a person that gets healthy scratch. So they definitely show what they think about Bowman. And talking about injuries, we have another surprise illness. I guess the holidays are hitting everyone. Is that originally I was going to be here talking about Brayden Hagel that's going to be day to day, but we actually had a late breaking after the game start news that Kucherov is a illness out. So basically, with this situation, we now have Hagel and Kucherov day to day, with no real update on Kucherov. But with Hagel, they say that the quote is from the coach, "I'd like to have him back before the break, but I can't say for sure." So hopefully it might be, well, I guess it might be like basically a week. So that's something to keep in mind. And then hopefully Kucherov is a short term. And then on top of that, we have some good news is that Ryan McDonagh is back. So they got some defensive health. And then the big news is that Andrei Vasilevskiy is back. So with that, we have now, Jonas Johansson has been a pretty good goalie, like not like lights out, but basically playing as an average goalie, but now he's easily safe to cut. And then with McDonagh back, he's still just kind of a defensive guy, not to worry about, and then with the injuries to Kucherov and Hagel, we have a top power play of Radish, Bjorkstrand, Hoyt, Gensel, and Cirelli. So even with losing those two big days, we still have a top power play of pretty good players. Bjorkstrand might be kind of a odd man out, but he's still an interesting player. So how do you feel like fantasy managers should navigate all of this injury news?
So it's I'm sure the Braeden point managers have been happy to see him getting some points after he came back from his injury. And he's 100% rostered in the Cupful, the Keeping Carlson Ultimate Patron Fantasy League. But this recent production could be a good opportunity if you're trying to move on from him to find a buyer if he thinks he hasn't quite reached his ceiling yet. Personally, I would try to buy on point, but they aren't going to be giving him away for free. So it might be just worth asking to see what's out there. But also, Oliver Bjorkstrand has been taking this power play opportunity and running with it. He has 5 points in his last 4 games, and that doesn't include a goal he scored tonight on the power play from Cirelli and Gensel. His ice time has seen a large increase, basically entirely tied to the power play. His even strength time has been pretty static, but he is definitely cashing in on this power play time. So I would keep an eye on that and prepare to drop him if he is not retaining that power play 1 role in the future.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's definitely one of those like hot and cold guys. I had Bjorkstrand on one of my fantasy rosters at the start of the season, and he was getting points on the power play. That I forget if it was either Hagel replaced him or he was just got cold. That I just let him go. So he's just going to be one of those guys that definitely he's like keep on your watch list or bottom of the roster, and just feel free to kind of use the waiver wire as your kind of extended bench with him, because he can point, but obviously we mentioned is that he's still like playing second fiddle with like both Kucherov and Hagel out. So it's not like he's ever going to be the guy on the team. And yet another illness. It's this one, at least we had a little bit of a heads up on. Artemi Panarin out today with an illness. And right now, we don't have any updates on the length of it, but they do have a Saturday-Sunday game this weekend, so we'll have to keep an eye out to see if he gets to play at least 4 of the 5 games this week. The interesting thing out of this is that the top power play has now left. It used to be a 5-forward power play, but it's now Zibanejad, Trocheck, Lafreniere, and Miller, JT Miller, being paired with Scott Morrow on that top power play. So this is one of those situations where he doesn't get that much time on ice, but I'll be interested in like a situation where, defensemen are hard to find, and especially say if you're playing in a categories league where power play points are a stat. This will be a situation where, any chance you have a person that's playing top power play, even if they're, the 5th likeliest player to touch it, this will be an interesting player to take. I assume that you'd be on the same boat with me, Nick, or are you higher or lower?
I'm a little lower. I'm just not expecting a ton out of Morrow. The coaching staff really dragged their feet putting him on this power play. And I think the quote was they wanted him to eliminate the hesitation from his game. And this move doesn't scream, we have faith in him. It kind of seems to indicate, hey, we don't have anyone else to put here. So I'd be interested to see if he keeps this role going forward, but I think he's probably worth a pass for me.
Oh, yeah, totally understandable. It's like sometimes, it's not everyone can't be Darren Radish where they get thrusted into the situation of power play just by there's no one left and then runs with it. So yeah, so just to make sure that it doesn't sound like that I'm like too over on the moon on him. It's one of those situations where you're like looking for a fourth defenseman on a where you roster or start for, or if you want to kind of maybe sneak in like a stream, assuming that Panarin's even out for another game, you might potentially sneak some power play points. So yeah, don't be cutting someone that you might see potentially as a long-term hold to sneak him on. But there is kind of something there potentially. But yeah, I wouldn't be counting on it personally. On from one defenseman to another. This one is Brayden Montour. We have kind of a weird situation here, is that he was injured. We're not exactly sure what it is. Some people think it might be his hand. He was kind of in a weird wrestling match, scuffle situation with Brent Burns, and then left the game and then never came back. And then, so he is not playing tonight against Calgary. And basically the coach, all that we have is, I would expect him to potentially join the team at some point here during this road trip. And keep in mind that this is going from today, Thursday, all the way, and finishes on Tuesday against the Kings. So that's 3 more games after this. So potentially, like right now, we don't know the injury. So basically what I would say is just kind of keep an eye out on game day tweets and just kind of be, anytime they do a practice, just kind of see where he is. At some point, he might come back, or he could just be a situation where he just never plays any of these games and he comes back after the Christmas break. So it's one of those, hey, leave him in your IR, but like just be ready to activate him at some point, and hopefully he's not too injured, because if he was seriously injured, they wouldn't even be talking about the trip, but just kind of a wait and see.
Yeah, this is a real bummer of an injury. We're hoping for the best because he was one of the bright spots for the Kraken. The team seems to be at a real crossroads here. And if he ends up missing significant time, they could find themselves firmly outside the wild card race and becoming sellers at the deadline.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like they're already lost what they're. You could probably say like one of the top 3 offensive threats in McCann, and then now to lose Montour as well, especially with this team with him and Dunn basically being such an important role in the defense, that this is just one of those situations where it's not like, oh, Dunn gets better, or this is kind of one of those situations where, we're not talking about rising tides. The tides are actually drawing out. All players are going to be a little bit worse in this situation. And so, hopefully your Eberleys or your, Marshmints might be able to keep on pointing, but this is just basically a harder situation for them to come out of it with this. So hopefully it's not long-term, and if it is, then just another reason to reevaluate your Kraken. Another injury to speak about that we don't have too much information on, but just to keep you in the loop, is that Tristan Jarry got injured mid-game. Basically, it was a weird situation. It was a non-contact injury. He was pushed off from one post to get to the other, and then something happened that he was uncomfortable and was unable to finish the game. So right now we have Calvin Pickard in net, so we'll just have to wait and see, because right now it's going to be one of those situations that if he's out long-term or even a decent stretch, it's just going to be basically Pickard and no one else. Like, I know that they have Ingram that they got from a trade, or basically other than that, I'm not even sure who else is their goalies, and I know that Ingram's probably not going to be ready. So if Jarry's out, this is going to be one of those situations where you're basically just going to be riding with Pickard. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure I would be fine playing with him. Just be like basically how you felt with Husso with the Ducks. Basically, even if the team's good in front of you, if you told me every game that Pickard plays, he lets in 5 goals, some of them might be wins, some of them might be losses. If you're fine with that, that's basically how I feel with Pickard if he plays games. So we'll just have to wait and see with the injury. But this is not one of those situations where, the starting goalie goes out I'm rushing to get the backup. I'll let someone else play that game. If it works out for them, but I'm not going to be playing Russian roulette with Pickard as my goalie. And lastly, we have, on the injury front, we actually got some good news, is that, talking about Husso, is that he was sent down to the AHL because Petr Mrazek is back. So if you had Husso on your roster, because basically they had 2 back-to-backs earlier, one early in the week and one later in the week. If you had Husso still sitting in your team trying to get that second game this week, basically you're free to cut him, because with this back-to-back, it's an easy setup of having Joe Stout play one and then Mrazek play the other. So you're free to cut Husso and then find what else to do with that slot. So kind of a straightforward situation there. And then lastly, on the goalie front, we actually have some interesting news, is that it's not really straightforward, but we have Hofer getting 3 starts in a row. And basically, I don't have the quote right in front of me, but basically he was getting some glowing remarks from the coach. And basically he did have a shutout in one of those games. He had a bad game in the middle of there, but basically the coach kind of walked it away, saying that basically the team wasn't good in front of him. So it's one of those situations where, interestingly enough, I'm not ready to say it's going to be a takeover in this situation, but I would be feeling, even with the game that Binnington is playing right now, that is I think he's only like 1 goal on like 20 plus shots, and it's in the third period. So even with Binnington playing well, this might be one of those situations where I wouldn't be surprised if it turns to a 50-50 and stays that way, because basically there's going to be the times when one of the goalies gets blown up just because this team is kind of a mess at times. But other than that, I feel like the coach trusts both of these goalies. Are you in the same boat, or do you think that one of them is going to be in a situation to maybe take 60% or more at the starts?
I think Hofer's definitely in the driver's seat here, even though Binnington has been the starter for so long. It seems like he's getting this game tonight against the Rangers because they had a back-to-back. But he is, to his credit, he's really running with it. I guess the real wild card about this is the Team Canada discussion. And if Binnington is getting the Team Canada starts, maybe Jim Montgomery is more motivated to have him get more games and get his numbers up a little bit. So
yeah, definitely one of those situations just to keep an eye on. Is that I think I kind of talked away from earlier in the season, is that it felt like the past 2 or 3 seasons, it was a different goalie. I think it was even Husso at one point, Hofer, and then I think even Charlie Lindgren at another. We felt like every year it'd be like, oh, is this going to be the goalie that takes over Binnington's spot? And then every time Binnington would just find a way to turn it back on and then keep the net away. Now, the situation here is I'm a little bit more tepid, that maybe he's not going to be overtaken, but it's going to be a potential 50-50. So if you have one of these goalies, I might be willing to hold, maybe, because especially with this coming schedule, it's not the greatest. And if you're in a goalie starved league and you're rostering one, maybe wait a few games to see how it phases out. But if you told me to bet today, I would be leaning to a 50-50 split. And with that, we'll take a short ad break and come back to you with hot and cold streaks.
Every yard, every sack, every interception, and every touchdown with Pick 6, DraftKings' newest game, every snap can turn into a big-time payout. This isn't just watching the game, this is playing to win. Here's how it works. Pick more or less on 2 or more player stats. The better your picks, the bigger your payout. It's that simple. And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers get $50 in Pick 6 credits with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. You know the game, now make it pay. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN. Play just $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Make the call, ride the upside in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Limited time offer. The holidays are here, and that means it's the most wonderful time of the year to save with Rakuten. Rakuten, use them to stack cash back at your favorite stores on top of holiday sales. That's saving on savings. With Rakuten, you can get cash back on gifts for everyone on your list, from toys for the kids to kitchen gear for the person who loves to cook to electronics for everyone. You can even save on something for yourself. Just shop the stores you love, and cashback is automatically added to your account, and you can choose to get paid via Interac, e-transfer, PayPal, or check. Join for free today and get a new member bonus after minimum qualifying purchases. Just go to Rakuten.ca, download the app, or install the browser extension. That's Rakuten. Spells Rakuten. Terms and conditions apply.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
Hey, this is Steve Gorman, radio host, sports commentator, former drummer for the Black Crowes. The winter holidays are here, a time for festive celebrations, family gatherings, and ringing in the new year. Whether it's a holiday party, a night out with friends, or just relaxing by the fire with a few drinks, it's a season full of good cheer. But here's something else to add to your holiday plans: a safe and sober ride home. Just like in sports and music, always have a game plan. And the most important part of any plan is sticking to it. If you plan to drink, take that plan a step further. Call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or have a designated driver lined up before the night begins. Drinking and driving is a decision that can change your life and the lives of others forever. A DUI, a crash, an injury. The consequences are real and lasting. So please, for your sake and for everyone else on the road, make the smart choice. Get a sober ride home. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Welcome back, and with that, we're going to go into hot and cold streaks. So, Nick, take us away with our first one.
All right, so first in Seattle, Chandler Stevenson has 4 goals and 3 assists in his last 7 games, including a goal tonight against the Flames. He's currently tracking for the most shots per game of his career right now at about 1.7, which is almost double the pace from last season. So he's shooting about twice as often. The 5-on-5 lines for Seattle have been kind of a mess with injuries and general lack of team success leading to instability and the line blender. But he is getting almost 25% more power play time on the first unit. So the coaching staff is putting him in these prime offensive scoring minutes, and he's been able to put together some more counting stats as a result. He's about 55% owned in Cupful, so there's a good chance he could be available to your team on the waiver wire. It's also worth mentioning that the captain of the Kraken, Jordan Eberle, is also scoring with 6 points in his past 7 games and keeping up the shots with nearly 2.5 per game, including only 1 game this entire season being held without a shot on net. The Kraken play a busy Saturday and then again Monday, Tuesday next week before the break, which seems like a decent window for streaming a hot player with 3 games in 4 days. Are either of these Kraken players interesting to you, Shams?
For me, I have a soft spot for Eberle. He just seems to be a guy that, like, he's never going to set the world on fire, but, like, if the Kraken are going to do anything, he's usually one involved in that. So if you're looking for a streamer in a situation, say, like, especially with next week that they have 2 off-night games of the week, so that's going to be a situation if you're looking for the Kraken, I'd be fine with, like, an Eberle. Or in a situation, this is going to be kind of where you know your league. I've been in deep leagues of just being like, hey, I'm just going to take a Kraken player and hope for the best. And once you get to that level, I think Chandler Stevenson, just because of the time of ice and actually taking some shots and the random block, I would be putting him at the top of the other guys list. But I would be kind of more interested in your Eberles or your Marchments, those kind of guys, more likely just because of they have more history of getting points. But if you're in a desperate situation or like more of a deep league, I can live. Like, basically, if you get to, hey, the only teams I have are, like, the Flames and the Kraken just because of schedule, then you're looking at whoever's left. I would be fine living with Stevenson. I'm not ever looking for him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I'm probably going to hold him until the holiday break and then reevaluate after that. And speaking of the holidays, it's a perfect time for making stuff like snowman, tree ornaments, and gingerbread houses. But the folks down in San Jose want to hear less about arts and crafts and more about sharks and graph. The undrafted winger out of both Union and Quinnipiac has been moved to the top line alongside Macklin Celebrini and noted short shifts bump recipient Igor Chernyshov. He has 6 points in his past 6 games. Could be in line for a lot more as Will Smith was placed on IR recently, and we're not sure when he'll be back. Graf is widely available, only about 6% rostered in Cupful, and although he isn't on the Power Play 1, I'd be interested in anyone playing 5v5 minutes with one of the most dynamic young players in the league. How about you, Shams?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's one of those situations where he's only 1% rostered in all of Yahoo. So just kind of a side of he's a younger guy, and then also just the Sharks schedule. They just have so many busy nights. So maybe if you're in a situation that you're like have a lot of injuries, or you have like a good amount of underperforming guys and you just want to get rid of one of them and you want to try to take a chance, I'd be open on Graf just because of, we all know Celebrity's good. We hear people talk about like, hey, is Celebrity going to be a first round pick next year? Well, I'll be interested on the guy that plays with him. And the nice thing too is that he does have streaks of getting like a decent amount of shots. Like he has maybe only like so far, like the past like month or so, only 1 game with no shots, a lot with like 3 or 2. Then he also has a couple of hits here and there and a couple of blocks. So he's not going to be one of those guys likely to just give you pure zeros. So has like a little bit of a floor, and that's that point exposure just playing with Celebrity. So I'd be open with riding him, and then understanding that the second he falls off, like if they talk about thinking about moving him to another line, then I'd be having like my finger over the drop button.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see who's going to get bumped off the top line when Will Smith comes back. I would guess they might keep Graf, but, you know, it's really up to the coaching staff, right? And what would the holiday season be without Garland? My mom puts this stuff up every year, and Connor Garland has been putting up points in preparation for the holiday break. He's got a goal and 3 assists over his past 3 games. He's pacing for his best year since 2020, 2021 in Arizona. His ice time's up across the board in all situations, and he'll probably be playing with either Pettersson or Marco Rossi once Pettersson returns from his injury break. Garland is 80% rostered in Cupful, but I'd be running to add him if I were in one of the leagues where he's still available. He was taken in my division, but I grabbed him yesterday in a different league. Shams, what do you think about Connor Garland?
He's just been a guy like it might be just like my bias to like Vancouver in general, because like in one league I have the center Pettersson, the one that's not getting points right now. It's just kind of that feeling of maybe it might be just like a incorrect bias, because I look at the stats of just like, as you said, with Garland getting like basically like penciled in for 20 minutes a game. So he's getting all the ice time. He's getting like somewhere between 3 or 2 shots that just basically, even before the points, which he is getting, the fact that you're getting the ice time and you're making amount of it with shots just puts you in that good position. So maybe that's kind of a situation where, yeah, the team's not the hottest, but the interesting thing is that this player's performing. He has the stats of the shots and the ice time to keep it up. It should be a player that definitely, he's not going to be like a top line guy or top of your fantasy roster, but he could be like, as I mentioned before, like an Eberle type player where you're like, hey, he's there, he's not causing problems, and hopefully he just kind of banks some points and he just helps you get to your fantasy win, but he's never the reason you won.
All right, in Montreal, we got a pseudo hot streak on Power Play 2 for Montreal. Alexandre Texier has 3 goals and an assist over his past 3 games, all from the third line. His shooting percentage is a little high, but Texier is one of the rare 0% rostered players in Cupful, so he's definitely available if you want to scoop him up. He did look like he had an assist today off of Brandon Gallagher, but the goal was disallowed upon further review. So he's definitely available to you, and he seems like he's a little bit hot right now. But what do you think, Shams? Is this anything, or should we just ignore this as a flash in the pan for him?
Really, this is going to be one of those situations. Just kind of depends on like how desperate you are. Because like I remember last year, I remember rostering like third line Canadians. I think it was like Gallagher and like Anderson were on a line with like a random center, and like I couldn't explain why, but like one of them kept on getting points. So this is just going to be one of those situations where like if you're in a need for points, like they play, like obviously you're stacked on Saturday, but like depending on your roster, you might have a free spot open on the Sunday. So if you're looking for a Sunday savior, this might be just the guy that like, sure, he could put up a 0 like in the points column, or he might randomly get a goal and an assist just because of just how the streak has been going. So it just kind of depends on what you need and when you need it, but just understand that this could end at any point. But, you know, if you're willing to, you know, you got to pay the price of just like variance is that it can go up and it can easily crash down. But if you're, you know, looking for something, I can live with it if you're in dire needs of points.
All right, and finally, Detroit's Axel Sandin-Pellikka has been on a bit of a heater. He has racked up 7 points in his last 8 games played, which would be good for a forward, but especially valuable as a defenseman. He's partnered with Ben Sherrod at even strength and quarterbacking the second power play unit, which both aren't ideal, but he's been worth about 4.3 Cupful points per game over this stretch. He's 75% rostered, so most leagues have caught on, but I would check if he's available in yours if you're in need of help on defense.
I definitely agree. This is going to be one of those situations where, personally, it depends on what kind of a defenseman you're looking for, is that he's going to be in the situation where he gets those goals and the assists, but like a lot of games, he'll have like a shot and maybe a block or maybe a hit. So on those games where he doesn't point, he's going to give you nothing. So it is kind of be a dance that you have to take. If you're going to live with the variance, he is going to be the defenseman that has the potential to give you the most points from a day to day, but because he doesn't give you the shots and the peripheral stats, he's going to be in a position where he could potentially not give you much. And since he is only playing on the second power play and the second defensive pair, he's not in that position to get the points as much. So it's going to be the situation of if you want to play a little bit of high-low, but the nice thing is that Detroit is showing a little bit of life with that second power play. They actually have some younger players that can actually do something on there, so it's not a total dud. And then also they do have an actual top 6 now of like decent forwards that he can actually get points on the even strength. So maybe not like a top line rush to get defenseman, but if you're in a league that either prioritizes the points and doesn't really care about the shots and the hits, that's a guy that I would like him for. Or if you're a person that wants to get, you know, you're going for the maximum and you don't care about the days that he doesn't point because those are nothing for you anyway. So kind of be an interesting depending on what kind of player you're looking for. And with that, we have come to the end of Short Shifts. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed the show, please consider joining the Patreon of Keeping Karlsson at keepingkarlsson.com/Patreon, where super supporters receive ad-free episodes and you can interact with Brian, Elon, the Short Shift crews, and hundreds of talented fantasy managers like Nick and myself there. And you have just basically when we're waiting on the Christmas break, you'll have plenty of people to talk about fantasy hockey. It's a great place to be. I spend most of my day there. It's that's a reward on its own. And on that, check out GameDayTweets.com to get all of your information from Twitter without ever having to touch it. You can search by player, search by team, get all your goalie starts, and make sure to visit the sites that we use for our research, including Yahoo, Frozen Tools, Natural Stat Trick. Our intro and outro music was created by Pat Roach. And until we see you next time, play smart and keep your shifts short.
Marriott Bonvoy is the official hotel partner of US Soccer. Join Marriott Bonvoy today to get closer to the game with exclusive perks, unforgettable experiences, and benefits that go beyond the pitch. Spring Hill Suites, part of Marriott Bonvoy, offers complimentary hot breakfast and spacious all-suite accommodations, perfect for the whole team, with room for up to 6 guests. Make your next getaway a win. Learn more at springhillsuites.marriott.com.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening. Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday.